Hey there, and welcome. It feels like the term AI is just everywhere now, right? But what does it actually mean for you and me? If you're curious, but maybe a little overwhelmed about where to even start, well, you're in exactly the right spot. Today, we're going to get to know a specific AI called Claude. We'll break down what it is, what it does, and really what makes it tick. Let's get right into it.
Okay, just for a second, imagine this. What if you had a personal assistant who could instantly summarize a whole book for you, or write that super tricky email you've been avoiding all week, or even just explain something really complicated in a way that actually makes sense? Well, that's pretty much the promise of the AI we're talking about today. And believe me, it's way more accessible than it sounds.
All right, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll cover the super basics. What even is a smart chat? Then, we'll properly meet Claude and talk about why it's called a responsible AI. After that, we'll get into the good stuff, its strengths, but also its limitations, because nothing's perfect. And we'll wrap up by helping you decide, hey, is Claude actually for me?
Okay, first things first. Before we jump headfirst into Claude, we got to get a handle on the big idea powering it all. And that's the concept of a smart chat. So let's demystify what that actually means.
Okay, here's the simplest way to picture it. Think about chatting with a super advanced encyclopedia. And honestly, this is the part that changes everything. This isn't just a fact machine. It can reason with you. It can brainstorm ideas. It can write stuff that sounds like it came from an actual person. That right there is the magic.
So how does this magic actually work? Well, it's all thanks to something called a large language model, or LLM for short. The best way to think of it is as the digital brain of the operation. It's been trained on just an unbelievable amount of text. We're talking books, articles, websites, you name it. And that's how it learned to understand what we're saying and talk back coherently. This is the engine that makes Claude and, other big names you've probably heard of, like ChatGPT and Gemini, actually run. So when you actually use it, what's happening? It's really just a simple back and forth. Step 1, you type in a question or a command. We call that a prompt. Step 2, the AI takes a look at your words and figures out, okay, what do they really want? And step 3, it digs through everything it knows and cooks up the best possible answer it can. That's it. Pretty straightforward, right? All right, now that we've got the basics down, it's time to meet the star of our show, Claude. Now, on the surface, it's an AI assistant, but there's a really important twist here. It was built from day one with a specific goal in mind, to be a responsible AI. So, Claude comes from a company called Anthropic. And, this backstory is actually super important. Anthropic was started by people who used to be top researchers at OpenAI. Yep, the same folks who made ChatGPT. But they left because they had a different vision. Their mission wasn't just to make AI more powerful, but to build it in a way that's fundamentally safe, transparent, and really truly aligned with what's best for people.
In this quote right here, it just nails their whole philosophy. The goal isn't just about making the smartest AI in the room. It's about making an AI that you can trust, one that's genuinely helpful. And honestly, if you're just dipping your toes into the world of AI, that focus on safety makes Claude a pretty comforting place to start.
Okay, so safety and ethics. Those are great words, but what does that feel like when you're actually using the tool? What's Claude good at? Let's get into its biggest strengths and see where it really stands out from the crowd.
So, what's its secret sauce? Well, for starters, the user interface is just clean. It's minimal, it's not cluttered, which is way less scary if you're a beginner. A lot of people also find that its writing style feels a bit more natural, more human. But its real superpower? Handling huge chunks of text. You can drop a massive PDF or a super dense report in there and ask for a summary, and it just crushes it. It's also a fantastic coding partner for programmers, and, circling back to that whole responsible thing, it manages to give safe, ethical answers without being overly preachy or restrictive. It gets right to the point.
But look, let's be real. No tool is perfect, right? To get the full story, we have to talk about what Claude can't do, or at least where it's still playing catch-up. Okay, so what are the downsides? Well, the biggest one is pretty clear. Claude is a wordsmith. It doesn't do pictures. So if you're hoping to create AI art or images, you'll need to look elsewhere. It also has fewer of those cool little plugins or extra tools that you might see on other platforms. And sometimes, just sometimes, its knowledge might not be as bang up to date as some of its competitors. So yeah, definitely some things to be aware of. All right, so we've laid out the pros and the cons. We've seen the good, the bad, and the text only. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Is Claude the right AI for you?
Let's break it down real simple. Think of this as a checklist. If you're looking for a simple, straightforward experience without a lot of confusing buttons, Claude is a great choice. If your job or your studies involve reading and summarizing long documents, like seriously long PDFs, then yeah, that's its home turf. If you're a bit cautious and you like the idea of starting with an AI that puts safety first, it's a perfect fit. And hey, if you write code, it's a fantastic sidekick.
And then, of course, there's the cost. Money talks, right? When you look at the paid pro versions of these tools, Claude currently comes out on top as the most affordable. At around €15 a month, it's cheaper than ChatGPT Plus and Gemini Advanced, so you're getting a ton of power for a little less cash. And for a lot of us, that's a pretty big deal. So here it is, the bottom line. If you're someone who values a simple, clean experience, a focus on safety, and some seriously powerful text analyzing abilities, all at a price that's easier on the wallet, then Claude is probably the perfect choice for you. It's just a fantastic, no-fuss way to get started with AI.
So there you have it. You know what Claude is, how it works, and why it's different. You've got all the basic info you need. The only thing left to do now is to try it out. Which leaves me with one last simple question for you. Now that you know all this, what's the very first thing you'd ask an AI?